Hello, everyone. It's summertime now, and I have a whole lot of businesses, as Dino knows, right? And one of them that I've just recently started is house sitting, which has been a lot of fun. Now the last one has been even more fun because it's not only house sitting, it's pet sitting as well.
It's what?
Pet sitting. So you look after the pets as well, right? So you look after dogs and cats and birds and fish. And I mean, it all comes part of house sitting. So I look after houses, I look after the plants, and it's a lot of fun because I get in and I can experience other people's lives, right, in their houses, the way they live. But that's just by and by. What I've just finished, the best one I've just finished now, is I've been looking after Penelope. Now, Penelope is a pig. And, okay, that's just by and by. That's just by and by. But what I'd like to tell you where I'm taking this, okay, because now it's just random. So the very first day that I sat Penelope, I saw her at the gate. And of course, I've never house sat a pig before. In fact, that's the first time I've even seen a pig, right? And it's a potbelly pig. She was really beautiful. And I saw her at the gate, and she was complaining and moaning and barking, and she was frothing from the mouth. Don't laugh.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's not funny. I'm taking it to a serious note, okay?
I'm listening.
So she was walking. She was like, come on.
Okay. All right.
She was pacing at the gate, right? And she was groaning and complaining, and she was frothing at the mouth. And I was going like, what? I've got a crazy pig. And immediately, what did I think of? I immediately thought of Kuyo, right? Like Stephen King's Kuyo. And I thought, this pig's lost its mind. So I messaged her owner quickly and I said, hey, what's happening? And she said, she's just hungry. She's waiting for her snack. Just go and give her her snack. So it was really just Pavlov. She was just frothing at the mouth because she was waiting for her snack. Now, after that whole long story, I think we're going to be speaking about perceptions. Hello, this is Carina. Break your fun freedom. And hello, Dino.
Hi. Okay. All right. Pet sitting, huh?
Right.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so as an Italian American, you've never seen a pig?
No. I've seen them in videos and whatever, but I've never actually seen a pig. I've never been close to a pig. It's a potbelly pig, so it's not a huge pig. But she's relatively big. And a lot of people would say, like, why would you do that? Aren't you scared of the pig? Well, initially I was scared of the pig, but then it was fine. She's actually really beautiful and very intelligent.
Yeah, I heard pigs are intelligent.
Well, they say they're the closest to human beings, so I suppose it makes sense.
Well, you keep going with this thing because right now I'm lost. So please continue.
Okay, so the real thing behind this was that when I saw her initially, that first day, when I was like, they said, okay, bye, we're going to Hawaii, look after the house and the pig. I went, okay. When I first saw her, she was frothing at the mouth. Kuyo, right? Stephen King. I thought of Stephen King.
You mean Cujo?
Cujo. I'm thinking Spanish.
You're thinking the rapper.
Yes, right. Okay, so I'm mixing everything up today.
Like Coolio. Okay, yeah.
I meant Cujo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Stephen King, right? Mm-hmm. So, of course, my author mind goes there right away. Of course, right? Meanwhile, it was actually Pavlov. She was just like, instead of saying Pavlov's dogs, she was just the pig. She was frothing at the mouth because she was expecting me to give her her oranges. So I'm just saying, look at the different perceptions and how our minds can make us go crazy, especially my crazy author mind. Of course, you immediately think of the worst thing and you think you're going to be attacked by a pig, which is like, really? It is so random.
Yeah. Well, same thing with great whites, right? Jaws didn't do a great thing for sharks. Everybody thinks, and there are man eaters, but I mean, everybody's like, oh my God, a shark, and if you really read the statistics, the chances are minuscule that they even come into contact with humans, but it does happen. And the same thing with these big, scary dogs that people have that they refer to as puppy. And when you look at the dog, you're like, whoa, that's no puppy. But, like everything else, his first impression is not typically what really is. And I think that's what you're getting at, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I have, we all have experienced that all the time. And, I mean, it's as simple as a post, right?
Right.
So I won't mention any names, but I posted on one platform yesterday. And, it's a platform that is part of the sober community, the stuff I do. I really don't talk too much about that stuff. But anyway, so every once in a while I put a post that's relevant to addiction and recovery and, that kind of meaning and stuff like that. There's nothing really more than that to it. And somebody commented back, why are you showing up on my post? And I don't follow you and I never will follow you.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, again, we're all humans. We have feelings and we all want to be liked.
Right.
It sounds petty, but it's part of our DNA. I mean, we want to be liked. And so you read that and I ignored it. And then I went back to it. I'm like, what's he talking about? Doesn't he know? Does he know what I'm trying to do? Like, almost like, doesn't he know who I am? Who cares who I am? But that's how I was thinking.
Yes.
Okay, so immediate auto responses in Dino's brain, right? One, tell him off. Two, come up with a clever thing to just smash him. These are, typically evil things. These are competitive things. And don't forget, I'm a businessman.
Yes.
You don't rise in business typically by, being nice and standing out of the way. I mean, you're either leading or you push your way to the top. That's ugly, but I mean, that's been 40 years of my life. So I struggled with this yesterday. Like, what's his problem? You know what I mean? Do I direct message him? Do I find out who he is? Do I go to see if he's got like a regular Facebook page, not part of this platform, so I could direct message him? All this stuff. And I'm like, dude, get over yourself. This is not, and then I just looked at it at face value. And so I just decided to just say, you can always scroll past a post you don't like, but I do congratulate you on your sobriety, as I am also here for mine.
Nice.
That's it.
Nice.
And I left it alone. And would you believe, maybe 5-10 minutes later, I get a response. I'm sorry, Dino. Typically, I didn't see the tag at the top that you were part of this group. And I get a lot of these things all the time. And I thought your profile looked fake. And therefore, I lashed out at you and I apologize. So it was as simple as that, right? But initially, I mean, if I acted on one of those impulses of mine, we would have been at heads.
It would have been like
strangers. Yeah, for no reason.
Yes.
For no reason at all. And that's not the only example. I mean, but I'm giving you just a recent example. But what you find is that a lot of times if you can't see the person and you can't see their gestures or their inflection or their voice as an example,
Yeah.
at least for me, the slightest, smallest little comment that somebody may make that contains no emotion in the words, you take the wrong way.
Yes.
And next thing you know, instead of just like looking at it at face value or trying to establish clarification, you react in a hostile way. At least for me, that's what I find, in a hostile way. And something tells me I'm not the only one. You know, I think a lot of times we get in these situations where a comment is made and you take it the wrong way, and then you respond the way you believe it was meant, right? So first impressions are definitely not accurate. You know, you see somebody wearing shorts and a tank top and won't give them the time of day. That same person in a suit and an expensive car, you would treat differently.
Yeah, of course.
They're the same person.
Yes.
It's just the wardrobe that's changed, or the environment around, the surroundings that have changed. And all these little trinkets, for some reason, give this person legitimacy where I'm supposed to respect them or disarm myself because, well, they look like they're important. But what about the person in the t-shirt and the shorts? I mean, you know, they might have something very, very important to say. So at least for me, you know, I haven't asked you yet, but at least for me, these are kind of like ongoing and recent examples of this new world that I'm in. You know, it's a different way to communicate to people. And I'm learning, just like everybody else, that form of communication. And a lot of emotion is lost in this new world.
Yeah.
So you got to be very, very careful of what you read that may seem hostile or imposing, and it really isn't. It's meant with no ill will whatsoever. What about you?
I agree with you because also for me, texting sometimes, like I'll text something and then I look at it and I think, that's not what I meant, but you can't convey that feeling. And sometimes it's easier to go, hey, you know what? Let's talk this. Let's just talk on the phone because the texting doesn't come. You can't convey that. So then the other person, the other person comes back with like nothing, or what are you saying, or gets offended. So what I'm learning now as well is get over yourself. Like, it's not about you. I'm talking about myself. It's not about you, you know, take it at face value. So get over yourself. But it's true. It is true. You know, a lot of times you see those things and you say, what are you saying? But it's always what's you thinking in your head. Well, I'm thinking in my head.
And it's also sometimes like, you know, again, we're dealing with I am dealing with different countries now. And also my Greek background. A lot of the Greek sayings and the Greek words, as an example, they're said backwards in English. So the meaning is lost. And if you're not Greek and you don't understand that, and somebody texts you something, a saying, but it's backwards, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. You know, it doesn't really mean that at all, you know, and you got to be very careful. One of the things that I learned personally is that I try to avoid as much as possible writing a chapter in the form of a text because number one, people won't read it. Number two, the chances of them getting the whole meaning of this entire wordy thing, you could have just accomplished the same thing by just picking up the telephone.
Yes.
Right. I don't see the advantage a lot of times, except just to avoid a call that there's some people that will never hang up. I get that. Well, I can go now. Oh, and one more thing, so I get it. Well, let me just text. Well, okay. But if you're going to text in just small, concise sentences or words, actually, preferably. And that's it. And just, that's it. Or how about this one? Call me. You could do that one too. I think a lot's lost, and it just amazes me that a lot of people, a lot of times, especially now, with the stuff I'm doing, they'll send stuff, and God bless them. I mean, they're all trying to communicate, but a lot of times it's just this lengthy, long thing. And if I'm driving, or if I'm on a podcast, or if I'm doing, I can't. I just physically don't have time to just read the whole thing. Just schedule a call. Or whatever, and then I'll be happy to go through whatever it is. I think the quality of our communication it has been diminished a little bit. But again, I mean, now visual perception is what we started off with, right? And visual perception, I think, it's not with this new age and stuff. Visual perception is what you believe. I believe it's part of your environment. If you equate success to a sharp dressed man or woman, or a polished mansion, elegant, kind of manicured landscaping and all that stuff, then you're always in shock at the average person that looks like they can't rub two nickels together and they happen to own a huge company or a Fortune 500 company. Yeah. And that's happened to me, in my life too. I mean, and full disclosure, I mean, when I first started in business, and this is probably from environment, certainly not upbringing, but I was conditioned to convey success by certain things. For guys, I don't know exactly for women, but for guys, it's always the watch and the shoes that are dead giveaway, right? You can have a great suit, but if your shoes look worn, especially if they're uneven, and that's because you're a door-to-door salesperson or a salesperson on your feet all day long. So today, I totally respect those worn shoes. But back then, and like most people, it's not just me, you look at the shoes. And if the shoes don't say anything to you, you're like, this person. So being cognizant of that, it was very, very important for me early on to have a nice watch and have nice shoes. And I was the sharp dresser.
Yes.
And I'll say this, I did play the part before I became what I wanted to be in my mind. I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
And so that's the perception. Did it help me? Probably. I'm not going to lie. But as you get older and you have more, hopefully, wisdom, and you certainly have more scars and, battle scars is what I call them, you'll find that there's just nothing to prove anymore. I mean, you'll show respect by sitting in a meeting and being well dressed. You'll show respect going to a public gathering and you're not having to prove that you're the rebel and I'm just going to wear jeans and I'm just going to be me. I mean, okay, you could be you, but there are certain settings that command respect at the very least, right? That doesn't mean you're showing off. It's just you're fitting the atmosphere, right? Yeah. But on a daily basis, it's not my life's mission to choose what jacket I'm going to wear with what shoes. I have one watch nowadays. It's an expensive watch, but it's because it has meaning to me and I like it. But, I'm not going to be any different if I left my watch at home, but it's how people see it. And I think this comes down, I know we started with the pig and we started with the perceptions and all that. So I'm going to say this. I think that don't be gullible, and, don't be, closed-minded, but I believe in giving people the opportunity for at least a chance. So if I see somebody that doesn't fit my description of, at first glance, who they are and who they represent to be,
Mm-hmm.
I'll at least fairly give him or her the chance to change my mind, right?
Right.
And they may
right.
not. They may not. I mean, this could be like a 10-second window, by the way. It doesn't
Yes.
have to be here. but I will give the opportunity of that chance, because I know that it's fair or unfair, whatever you want to call it. You just never know who you come in contact with that can actually help you on your journey, or the part of your life that you're in, or whatever it is going on at that particular time, without giving somebody the opportunity.
Yes.
And so what you find is that there's a lot of people that form these cliques. You look like me, you act like me, you dress like me, so I'm going to hang around with you. They don't look like me, they don't dress like me, they don't act like me, so I'm staying away. And some of those people may be beautiful people. You just don't give them a chance if you're just going by perceptions, right? I mean, you gave the pig a chance. Right? So,
Okay, then I'm just going to go take one step back to you and say that all those people, it's also called a cult, right? You look like me, you talk like me, you listen to me, and we just, yes. Okay, that's just by and by. Just a passing thought.
It could be a cult, but it could be a clique.
Yes.
A cult is, a cult is, I guess, the extreme of a clique. I don't know. I'm not a dictionary. But yeah, it could be anything you want, but it's just like, that's how we form our opinions, and we stay in our group. And in many, many ways, you'll find that it's quite closed-minded. I mean, some of the most brilliant ideas or brainstorming that I've ever done was with people that you'd never expect to interact with. And they'll just say a certain thing, and it just clicks, and it's just like, wow, okay. And if I didn't, and it's work sometimes to maintain and continue to have an open mind.
Yes,
because it's really, really hard to default back to the closed mind. Like, what am I doing? I'm burying my head in the sand like an ostrich. You know what I mean? What are you doing? So you just never know. I mean, that $1 million idea can come in the form of just having a simple conversation with a complete stranger who doesn't fit the mold.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool.
It's very cool. It's very cool. And then we have to also go back that a lot of times you have this polished, dressed, well-dressed person, and when they open their mouths, it's like...
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. And you see a lot of comments. I know everybody jokes around and stuff, but it's just like, you'll see these comments. They'll post like this, polished, good-looking guy. And then, you see these comments like, if they just don't open up their mouths, they're perfect.
Right.
And so maybe that comes from that. I don't know. But should you change to be liked? No. But I would just say, be yourself, but be also open-minded. Don't be so much of a rebel that I'm going to be myself, and if they don't like it, screw them. That's not really being yourself. That's just overdoing it just to prove a point. I mean, if you're yourself and you're comfortable with who you are, you don't have to do that stuff.
Yes.
You don't have to go to the extremes, or to convert or conform, or I'm standing my ground and that's it. I mean, but there are other times where people won't agree with you. And there are other times that people will ridicule you. And this isn't like interpretation. This is real. Like, I'm going to bury you if you do this or that, or if you say this or that. I'm going to go to all the social posts and I'm going to expose this. What do? Do you live in fear, or you just say, you know what, whatever, you know?
Whatever.
So again, I mean, it has certain influences, you know, with you. Now, this pig that you got to know, you know, is a sweetheart, and chances are, you know, like I posted something yesterday about a collector plate project that I did 27 years ago. I'm not bragging about it. It was just weird because I never kept a sample for myself. You know, whatever, I was young. So, but, and they were never on the market because they were exclusively sold to Japan, where wrestling was huge, still is, but even 27 years ago was huge. And so none of them ever came on the market. All of a sudden, one comes up on the market on eBay, and I look at it and I was just like, whoa, you know? And it got me to thinking about these wrestlers, the Road Warriors. This podcast isn't about wrestling or sports, but the Road Warriors were kind of like the Hulk Hogans, but, you know, tag team. Yeah. They've won every belt. Whether you think it's fake or real wrestling, point is, it does tire you out, even if you're faking it. But let's just call it entertainment, right? Mm-hmm. But these people were in shape, these two guys, towering figures, imposing figures. And this is before the football shoulder pads that they would wear that had metal spikes drilled into them. So okay. And I met them because I had to kind of capture what they're like and get some photos and take photos. And then I hired an artist and actually did this collage. It was really cool. But hanging out with them the first time I saw them, and again, I'm a little 5'6" guy, right? These people are 6.5 feet tall, wow. 400 pounds, 450. I mean, huge. And, you know, I mean, you're just like that, you know. But one of the greatest things that I remember was that I didn't let their size or who they are intimidate me.
Yeah.
Which was really good. I don't know where I really got that from, but it was a good thing to have. And so I got to know them really, really quickly and got past being starstruck, got past being in awe of their size, got past being in fear of just their, you know, how big they were, and got straight into their heart, if you will. And, you know, we sat down, had great discussions, funny guys, great guys, caring guys. They're both passed, rest in peace. But it was, it's interesting you bring up the subject because it was just yesterday that, you know, I found this information on the collector plate that I did. And it just kind of reminded me that there's no way I would have been able to pull off that project had I been starstruck or intimidated by who they were.
Yeah, yeah.
They were just another tag team celebrity that had been brought to me together with like-minded intent. You know, I had the know-how to put a collector plate together because of my past business. They obviously were in wrestling. I liked wrestling. And so we got together and we had commonality. They're like, we're really big in Japan. We got the sports guy that wants to promote us in Japan. They love collector plates in Japan. Can you help us? I'm like, of course I can. They're like, well, what are you going to make? I'm like, I don't know. But let me talk to you guys and hang around you guys and almost like live with you guys for a while, and I'll get a feel for it. And so it came to me to create this collage of different stages of their lives. And it actually turned out to be a pretty cool project. So anyway, I'm not pushing the collector plate. I don't even have one, but $348 on eBay. Wow.
Wow.
And, yeah, inflation. So anyway, I mean, they were good figures. And I've met a lot of famous people like that throughout my life. And again, lucky enough not to let first impressions be my lasting impression.
Yes, yes.
Because it allowed me in, you know, because as flattering as it is for somebody to be a fan, I guess, of these people, it also kind of, it puts them on guard because you're so struck with who they are and stuff like that. You really don't care what they feel or what they think.
What they really like.
What they're passionate about. You just like, oh, wow, you're a god, you know. But if you approach the same person, you know, I'm not seeing what everybody else is seeing. I'm not starstruck by you. I respect what you did. I mean, congratulations, but you're still a human being. If you look at them that way, you're able to get in and have discussions you might find are very like-minded, and you may share a lot more than you think.
Yes. That's right. So when you meet someone, it's actually about connecting on an energetic heart level almost. So it doesn't matter what they look like. I mean, you can speak to homeless people and you discover that, whoa, they've got beautiful voices, or they were some famous person, or they've got some talents. And most of the time you just walk past them and say, you know what, rubbish, alcoholic, addict, whatever.
Well, and another thing, not to interrupt, but, you know, people tend to forget you weren't born homeless. You know what I mean? You actually had a home. You know, before that. Yes. So, you know, they probably have come from all walks of life for all types of reasons. Addiction or alcoholism may just be one of them. It could be illness. It could just be somebody who just got tired of the world.
Right.
You know what? I don't feel like interacting. And who knows? I'm not a doctor. But the point is that they weren't born homeless.
Exactly.
They had lives prior to this. And so they come with their own talent and their own backgrounds and their own stories. And some of them are very interesting to hear. I've heard quite a few of them as well. And I never thought I'd be saying that. I'm going to get mugged, you know. Of course, keep your guard, because they're usually not in the best sides of town, but you know, they all have some compelling stories, and they're just looking for a little time. That's all.
And connection, like most people. Yes. Now, I want to go back. It's quite interesting. I have to put in my perception about you, fear, and all this, like being starstruck. It's very exciting. But me, on my side, I had to break the fear because I come from South Africa, right? And that's a whole different fear kind of thing, because there's the crime. So a lot of people sit in their homes and say, no, don't go out at night because you might get attacked. Don't close all your doors because whatever. And me, I said, well, hey, I'm not going to be bullied by fear. So I would go out. And that's a whole different way where you say, okay, I'm not listening to you. I'll be safe. I'll be vigilant, but I'm not going to be a prisoner of my fear. Because otherwise, what happens? You just shiver in a corner and you're afraid and you don't do anything. And that's the same kind of thing on a different perspective that you did. Because, I mean, if you were awestruck and you were afraid of these people, you would have never created that beautiful project.
Or many, many others. Yeah, right. And that's the whole thing. They're just people. And that's the way. I don't know how. I'm not the only one, but I mean, that's the way I've looked at it pretty much my entire business career. They're just people. Because otherwise, you know, I would get that sweaty hand and I'd want to say something really fast to show like I'm just as important. And it never works out well. It never did for me. So, you know, this took years to get used to. And, in the beginning, I wasn't very polished. I had the heart, I had the drive, I had the desire, but I wasn't really very polished. And these people didn't intimidate me outwardly, but it reflected in the amount of perspiration on my hand. That warm, clammy, sweaty hand, I just could not beat that. So I could look really cool and polished and, a nice Teflon exterior. Just don't shake my hand. And I'd probably be able to get away with it. But if you shook my hand, I equate it to like a scared little boy, and I don't know anybody else who likes shaking warm, sweaty hands. It's not one of the most pleasant experiences in the world. But yeah, anyway, that's my story.
I like that. So now we can go back to Penelope the pig, and it's the same kind of thing. I mean, she's supposedly she's domesticated, but because I don't know. I mean, I've looked after dogs. So the dog I'm looking after now is a big dog, dogs, cats, whatever. But because I didn't know the pig, I immediately thought that, and was afraid that she was losing crazy because of whatever.
Yeah,
So again, perceptions.
Yeah,
perceptions
absolutely.
Again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then you don't give the pig the chance to show how beautiful she is. Needless to say, I'm not eating bacon anymore.
Yeah, well, that probably comes with the territory. For me, I don't even want to get into the Greek stuff, but every pet that was close to me except my goldfish or a bird, was eventually eaten by the family. So you can't include me on this. I mean, I get it, and everybody looking. If you're Greek, you understand what I'm saying. If you're not, you'll be like, oh my God. But hey, it was a different time. It was a different world. So,
well, I'll have to add one thing to that. My ex-husband, they had rabbits, right? Mm-hmm. That's what they did. They grew rabbits. And of course, the rabbits didn't last very long either.
Yeah. Never name those, because later on it's just, surprise, surprise. I had a rabbit too. I would come home from school and immediately run to the back garden where there was chicken wire, and there was this rabbit. Started with a little bitty thing and became this big white rabbit, Tommy. And one day I came home and I went to get some lettuce. No Tommy. But there were a lot of cars in the drive, and all down the side of the road. And I'm like, oh, my parents, they're having company, their friends and whatever. They're all sitting around the dinner table. And my dad's like, Dino, Tommy.
Oh, no, really?
Yeah. And I was just like, but hey, that's stories of Greeks, especially the ones coming from Greece, and their kids. I'm sure there's a lot of Tommies out there that were on the dinner table, so I get it. But yeah, I mean, back to your thing. It's as simple as just giving somebody a chance, or something a chance, or whatever. I get it. It was a good subject.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's it's not always the worst thing. It's sometimes just an obvious thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yes, so it's been an interesting week.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you very much for your.
Thank you. Wait, one more thing. I want to just say one more thing. Thank you so much for the awesome. I have to plug this now, okay? The Living Without Limits magazine. It's really very beautiful. It came out beautiful, and I've had so many compliments on my feature. Now I'm going to be bragging a bit, right? It's really beautiful. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Oh yeah, it was a good story. It was a compelling story, and again, I mean, my hope is that your book and your story and your message empowers women, not just women, but again, I mean, empowers women with the, you don't define me mantra. So congratulations on that. Thank
Well,
you.
congratulations to you too. And all the beautiful the stories are, wow.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Very,
cool
very
stuff.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So
Fine.
congratulations to that and on all your other beautiful projects.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, that wraps up another edition of Break Fear, Find Freedom. I appreciate it. Remember, if you see a potbelly pig, give it a chance. We'll see you next time on Break Fear, Find Freedom.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.